I can't even believe this BBC report failed to say where the rifles came from.
Clashes have continued in Gaza between Hamas and Fatah supporters despite a deal aimed at stopping the bloodshed. 13 people have been killed in the past 24 hours and both factions have kidnapped members of the opposing camp. From Gaza, our correspondent Alan Johnston reports.
Racing in from streets that had suddenly become battlegrounds. Once again, Hamas and Fatah were tearing at one another, Palestinians fighting Palestinians. A ceasefire deal failed to hold, and Gaza's hospitals were receiving the dead and injured far into the night. The bloodletting began here, late on Thursday. 2 Hamas men died when an explosion ripped through their jeep. Hamas accused Fatah of planting a roadside bomb, and the fight was on. As the dead men went to their graves, there were clashes going on in the Jubalia refugee camp, and later they spread to Gaza City. As the violence intensified, both factions seized members of the other camp in a wave of kidnappings. They hoped that by grabbing hostages, they might restrain the other side. But it wasn't meant to be like this. For Hamas, Friday was supposed to be a day of celebration, marking the anniversary of its first year in power. And it has been a long, hard year for the party. Its government has endured a crushing economic embargo imposed by Israel and the West because Hamas refuses to accept the State of Israel's right to exist. There's been much talk of Hamas and Fatah forming a more moderate government of national unity that might be able to lift the embargo. But the fighting in the streets has put an end to all political negotiations. Alan Johnston, BBC News, Gaza.